I love a great Cinderella story because you just don't expect it.
It just shows that anything can happen.
There really isn't any other sport that can capture David really routinely beating Goliath.
Everybody loves a Cinderella story because it gives you a reason to believe that you personally can do anything.
You have teams that you didn't hear much from all season that can just for one night have an incredible performance. The 1983 NC State team that won the championship over Houston is one of the greatest stories in sports.
I think to have a great Cinderella story, you have to have a supremely talented team, and that's exactly what Houston was that you're going up against.
Phi Slamma Jamma, you know, Hakeem the Dream, Clyde Drexler, and those guys, the high wire acts that they had on that team against this team of underdogs.
The thought was NC State couldn't play with it.
One of the first times that a Cinderella team was able to go and seal the deal. And guess what? They did it via the dunk against Phi Slamma Jamma.
Wittenberg throws up a prayer. Charles with the slam. NC State wins it at the buzzer.
You had a ball in Derek Wittenberg's hands that he loses. He loses and time's winding down. He throws it up there. To this day, he swears that he knew Lorenzo Charles was right there and it was going to land in his hands with 1 second left and he was going to lay it in and they'd all celebrate. Not a chance he knew that.
NC State was good. They weren't a bad team, very talented team, but it was somewhat a miracle, somewhat a coaching win, and then the kind of the sheer will of the cardiac kids of NC State.
You know, what mesmerizes me about that is the reaction of the coach, because you know what? He was just as stunned that his team won that game as everybody else watching it.
Jimmy Valvano was just running around looking for someone to hug. You can just see the joy on his face, and that's why people watch sports. The 1985 Villanova team is also a great story of the tournament. They were a number 8 seed, ended up being the lowest seed to ever win a championship.
Going up against Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. This seemed like it was going to be just a trouncing. Villanova slows down the game, plays their style of basketball.
Villanova and Rolly Massimino had the perfect game plan. And oh, by the way, they played the perfect game. They missed 2 shots. 2. That's it. 2 shots in the second half of that basketball game.
When you think about Nova, they shot 79% from the floor.
They had to do that just to be in the game, really.
Villanova being the highest seed to ever win a championship is significant because it just gives other teams hope that no matter what your seed is, you have a chance to get to that final game, and then when they get there, anything can happen.
The 2006 tournament was unique because it was the first time since expansion that the national semis didn't have any number 1 seed. And now here you have a number 11 seed in George Mason.
Why they rank as far as the top of Cinderella schools was the conference they came from, the Colonial, and the team that they were, and really the bracket that they were in.
Sometimes teams make a run. When you look back, you think, kind of got a lucky draw. They beat North Carolina and Michigan State. And then when they beat UConn had 6 players from that team drafted that year.
When I think about George Mason players, 2 guys I think about Will Thomas, I think about Jai Lewis.
I like the fact that they didn't back down from anyone. They didn't come in, the lights was not too bright for them. They expected to win games. I like the confidence that they took the floor with. And you just got to respect it as a basketball junkie.
And so George Mason's run really was a perfect fit at a perfect time as college basketball's landscape was changing into more parity, that they could do it, and it's a run that I don't think anybody will forget because of how they did it.
Cinderella makes the NCAA tournament, I think, because you get to see the look on people's faces when the unexpected becomes the ordinary. I always say that when it comes to college basketball.
When you see a group of kids that seemingly don't belong on the same floor as another team, and they win, you think, there's nothing I can't do.
You know, you want to see that team, the little engine that could, just keep on going all the way.
We like to think of ourselves as an underdog. We like to think of ourselves as a Cinderella story.